Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and, well, this is just asking for a rant right here. I tell you, this stuff writes itself. I mean, there's this new interview with Eurogamer, with Carl Magnus Strodson, that's out there on the interwebs, and I gotta say, it's pretty pathetic. I mean, it honestly reads like a canned script that they dish out every year in the summer, a couple of months before a major Battlefield release. Of course, all answers were pretty much spot on as to what we've come to expect from DICE and EA. They said all the right things, hit all the right notes. Quote, "For clarity, it wasn't actually a server problem for Battlefield 4, EA boss Andrew Wilson told Eurogamer. It was a client-side problem. Right now, the game is playing extremely well and people are in there having a lot of fun. I'm still playing it." What the actual fuck? He continues, "The game is playing extremely well." What planet is he on? Planet I don't give a fuck? Wilson also said the game suffered because of its ambition. I mean, he's not wrong, he's just an asshole. The game, meaning Battlefield 4, of course, did promise some pretty ambitious new features, one of the bigger attractions being Levolution, a term coined by DICE to refer to the more or less gimmicky ways that things collapse and get destroyed in Battlefield 4 world, and obviously overlooking the fact that in Battlefield Bad Company 2 the so-called Levolution was arguably better, albeit on a much smaller scale. The main problem with Levolution, DICE's most prized pig for Battlefield 4, was that it crashed servers, right, and killed frame rates, and we all know that, making the game unplayable on release. So, we were left with players screaming at the top of their lungs in the chat on Siege of Shanghai not to activate the skyscraper destruction, because the server would crash and they knew it, and some asshat noob went and done it anyway, crashing the damn game and kicking everyone out. And I mean, these things weren't small enough that the dev team couldn't know about them, because obviously these aren't stupid people. So, the blame doesn't entirely rest with EA, because DICE did know what they were getting into, I think. But as I said, most of it should be placed squarely at EA's doorstep, as they pushed the unplayable game with a AAA price tag out the door before caught with most of the bugs probably marked won't fix by DICE because of the time constraints. And of course it's pretty obvious that Battlefield 4 needed to be released 2 weeks before COD, as per usual. But of course Wilson preemptively answered this most obvious question, volunteering DICE as a human shield, saying in no way did they rush the developer to roll out an unfinished product and in a short amount of time. But in all seriousness, to believe this, you dear gamer would have to be a complete moron, which admittedly some are, but most aren't, and we know better than to believe this steamy pile of doo-doo. So, the interview is there to mainly put our minds at ease with these promises of longer development cycles, and actually no, Wilson's lawyerese was spot on, as he didn't actually promise anything. He said you could have earlier betas and longer development cycles and so on, but he never actually said that any of these things would be the case. So, fake admissions and apologies that are supposed to make us relax and believe in the magical pink unicorn of a working future Battlefield game, which conveniently enough turns out to be none other than Battlefield Hardline, of course. Honestly, this interview reads like a Battlefield Hardline ad. So, everything will be alright. Everything will be done well this time around, and there's nothing to worry about with Battlefield Hardline. Where have we heard that before? Oh wait, 1 month before Battlefield 3 release, there was an interview with producer Patrick Bach, who said that he is so ashamed of Bad Company 2's release that he cannot bring himself to play it. And Battlefield 3 will take it to the next level and, be much, much better in all respects. Of course, this was aimed, to put the gamers' minds at ease and prepare them for Battlefield 3, the next great big thing, which turned out to be insanely bug-infested when the beta actually dropped. Again, DICE tried to quell our concerns by telling us that the beta build is actually several months old and that most of the problems we see are already fixed, which obviously turned out to be another pack of lies. And frankly, what the hell is the point of releasing an old beta if the very purpose of the beta is to test for bugs? Another lie. Then Battlefield 4 was announced, and of course they went on the offensive once again, with EA sitting in its golden throne up on the hill away from the battle, dishing out unrealistic orders and, laughing it up at us puny mortals who amuse it. So DICE bowed its head, swallowed its pride once again, and said out loud that it was unhappy with Battlefield 3, especially at launch, that it was buggy, and that this time Battlefield 4 will turn all these things on its head and finally have everything fixed and working on release, especially the netcode, which you people should remember was in reality a huge step backward even from the Battlefield 3 days, much of the blame resting with the 10 Hz tick rate that it shipped with. Of course, there's a ton of more info to send back and forth in Battlefield 4, but this is first and foremost an FPS game, not Destruction Simulator 2013. And again, following the SOP, DICE reassured us that the issues we're seeing in the beta are already fixed and there's nothing to worry about. So you can all go and happily pre-order the limited edition. Obviously another pack of lies one more time around, as upon release we all remember what Battlefield 4 was: a raw piece of shit. DICE's prized revolution was crashing servers, sound was missing, glitches were everywhere, kills through walls, kill traits, horrible netcode, sluggish kill feed chat, grenades, you getting suicide and catapulted, and all those goddamn one-hit kills, and many, many other problems. And in the future, Wilson said, developers would be given more time to develop their game with bigger accent on stability in each build, and betas will be released earlier to weed out the problem areas and still have time to fix them. Again, playing directly into the Battlefield Hardline beta with an eye towards its release and smoothing out public opinion before that. And frankly, I cannot believe that this is supposedly the first time that they thought about accenting stability in their builds. I mean, they have written games before, right? So they should be somewhat familiar with the process by now. So what we have here is a standard list of fake apologies and fake admissions that EA is pushing onto DICE, right? Shifting the blame onto the developer when EA clearly wanted the game 2 weeks out before COD. So, no matter what, no matter how buggy it was. And by the way, same story with previous titles like Battlefield 3. Also, in December, we read that EA supposedly halted further DLC development until, quote, main issues plaguing Battlefield 4 would be fixed, which we all heard of by now. But again, that was put out there just to shut everyone up and appear to take responsibility and admit blame. Again, DICE was volunteered by EA to be humbled by the train wreck that Battlefield 4 was on release, and was to take it real personal, the caca of a game. And yes, damn right, Battlefield 4 was ambitious, as he said, with DICE trying to develop an entirely new game with several entirely new features like Levolution, Commander, Spectator, Battle Screen, and Mobile Commander, and so on in 2 years, and at the same time as they were probably trying to update Frostbite 2 engine enough for it to be called Frostbite 3. So yes, it was probably way too much, way too fast, but now Battlefield Hardline was supposedly in development for 3 years, or so they say. 3 years. What the hell were they doing in those 3 years? Have you played Battlefield Hardline or seen it on YouTube? Hint, hint, this video. I mean, it looks like and it feels pretty much the same as Battlefield 4, right down to the damn menu pause screen. You have the same Levolution, characters and guns looking even more goofier than in Battlefield 4, and absolutely the same gadgets and attachments. I mean, it was sort of fun for me when Battlefield 3 introduced lots of new weapon attachments and bling for your gun, and I'll admit I liked Battlefield 4's customization approach as well. It was kind of new, supposing none of us actually played Medal of Honor LoL Fighter, but it was still fun. But in Hardline, I really am having trouble seeing anything new that they came up with for the next big thing, EA's next prized pig. So, what can you consider new? The gimmicky grappling hook? I mean, come on, it's a $60 DLC for Battlefield 4, isn't it? Hashtag eActivision. And you could argue that they spent much of those 3 years working on that epic single player that they're promising us. But look, whoever buys a Battlefield game for its single player? And more to the point, why is this game even called Battlefield? And another thing that caught my eye was that they're saying that, well, sometimes you assemble the whole thing, the whole game, and you don't have access to the vital pieces till the very last moments, blaming next-gen consoles, of course, and trying to cover the faults in Hardline with shifting blame to Microsoft and Sony and whatever. So, the point of this video is this, friends. Vote with your wallets, and don't pre-order Hardline till you've seen what it looks like on release, because, well, damn right, I sound bitter about this, because I'm not pre-ordering it till I see much more of it. So, so far it hasn't impressed me, and if I sound bitter, it's because I wasted a huge amount of money on Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 pre-orders together with premium. And, that comes down to $220 for 2 games. And that's only 2 games, and that's just not gonna fly. I mean, especially after DICE said in an interview, what was it, in 2011 or 2010, that they won't ever charge for Battlefield map packs, and that they might be owned by EA, but DICE is still very much its own company. Well, sounds to me more like EA's bitch, if anything. So, I'm going back to play some CTE right now, as it runs much better than the vanilla game for obvious reasons. And, this is another thing that chafes my ass. The CTE is a good idea, but it could be much better implemented, I think. Firstly, it should be made available to non-premium members, because people don't even want to sign up, if their friends aren't premium or can't because they're not premium themselves. Secondly, more people have to be allowed into the closed environment, because but 1 or 2 CTE servers are empty all the time. And to do that, see what I said above. You can get more people to join if you open it up a little more to non-premium users. And some will say that more people will mean that the CTE forums will get flooded with spam like fix the f***ing game, but I think it's worth the risk. So thanks for watching my rant, and sorry I've been yakking this nonsense so long. Please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos at the end of this one. And remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.